So, first thing we're going to talk about is always a fun topic, which is theme park fights, which seems like a weekly thing. This one was actually at the Contemporary, which is, you don't really see these at resorts too much that I recall. This one here is from WWNT, and it says group brawl breaks out at Disney's Contemporary Resort. There's not much to this. I will click over here. I think it's on TikTok, technically. We'll make our way to TikTok. Yeah, we're going to watch it. Okay, we'll watch this real quick. No, I don't do it. Okay. So this was what broke out there.
Nothing beats it.
No, we can't. I'm not going to turn the music off, but you got two people, some pushing, a baby.
A baby? Oh, my God.
Now, those people in the back, they kind of started swinging a little bit back here. You see that guy took a big old swing. And then, yeah, so this is a group of people just having a mini brawl in Contemporary.
Wow.
I mean, I'd like to say I'm shocked. I'm not really shocked by it. So apparently some of the details, I don't know if they have it in this one, but apparently the aggressor group or somebody had drank too much and they randomly sort of picked a fight with this other family. And it, from what I had heard, somebody had commented, it said the family that was just minding their own business that these people picked a fight with, they got banned from Disney property, but the people who instigated it did not. Now, I don't know how accurate that is. That was one of the comments that I did see on that TikTok. So yeah, it's not a great thing when you see this, obviously, with, families and people on vacation just having a good time. But the question I think is relevant. And of course, this one had alcohol involved. Apparently, the people that started this fight were a bit inebriated. Do you think that there is an actual uptick in theme park related incidents? Do you think it's...
I think this stuff has probably been happening. Didn't have that, you know what I'm saying? Everyone didn't have a camera in their pocket, so you didn't notice this stuff because no one had access to filming everything on the spot like that. So I think social media is a big part of it. I don't know about Walt Disney World. I've only been once, and that was like 2 years ago. But at Disneyland Resort, in terms of the alcohol, I feel like the cast members do a really good job at kind of like spotting people that are kind of drinking a little too much, and they cut them off. Not to say it never happens, because I know someone's going to say, well, I don't know, OG, 3 years ago, this happened. I understand that occasionally there are some issues, but I mean, for the most part, anecdotally that I've seen, I mean, it's pretty far and few between. And honestly, I think that Disney does a pretty good job at kind of mitigating that, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think it's more of a social media thing. And I think it's also I kind of feel like ever since the pandy, like the COVID, people are just kind of different now anyway. Like people are more on edge a little bit. It's just society is behaving differently even, so that could be part of it too.
That's a very good point. And I do think there is, I think you're right. Ever since the pandemic, there has been, I think certain people things broke. I don't really know how else to put it. Like some behaviors got a little strange. George, what do you think? Do you think it's more fights, or do you think it's social media, or do you think it's a little in between?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think when you have that mixed combination of, tensions rising, not even just in the US, but in the world in general, and then you're going to throw social media and everything into the mix, that people just get so high strung and giddy up about anything nowadays. And, someone is just ready to pick a fight. It's just in today's time. And it's unfortunate because I remember, growing up that you can literally, walk outside in the middle of the night and, feel completely safe. Now it's like, if you look at somebody wrong, it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's unfortunate, but I think Disney does the best of their ability when to handle this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, you can't really control it unless you get rid of all alcohol. But I mean,
right.
And in society and in in today's time and everything, you can't do that. Somewhere, somehow, some way, something's going to happen no matter what. So it's just about how they handle the situation. And I feel like it happens a little bit more with Walt Disney World than Disneyland, because you have a more broader scope of a resort. You have 4 theme parks, you have 30 plus hotels, you have 2 water parks, you have the Disney Springs area. So there's a lot more acreage that covers, with a lot of guests being at any given time. And
you also have people coming in that are like, I'm on vacation, I'm letting loose, they drink a little too much, I think you have a lot more. I would agree. I think you have more of that type of atmosphere at Disney World, because Disneyland's much more of a locals park than Disney World would be. So I think there's something to that for sure. Slimer, what do you think?
Oh, go ahead, Simon.
Go ahead, OG. Finish up your.
Oh no, actually, the tipsiest I've ever seen George was actually at Walt Disney World. George is a pretty funny guy when he drinks, to be honest with you, and he's a lover, not a fighter. He's very nice, very charming guy when he's drunk. He's not. And I think that's
it's like people know themselves enough to know when they drink what type of drunk are you. If you're the type that doesn't handle it well, then just don't drink on vacation. Maybe.
I'll have to send you guys the photo. Because it was at the Polynesian. I don't know what concoction that drink was, man, but I was like high as a kite.
well, it was funny, guys, because I wanted the Trader. I think I have it back here, actually. The Trader Sam's mug. I wanted the mug, so I bought the drink with the mug, but I didn't want to have. I was already like 2 beers in, so I'm like, I don't want to have a mixed drink now. That's gonna be a little too much.
Right.
So George didn't drink yet, so I'm like, hey George, you want the drink? And then I'll just, I'll just have the mug. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And he wasn't expecting it. I mean, it hit him like, man, I got a ton of bricks, man. I'm telling, like Dr. Doom at the end of Roger Rabbit, that ton of bricks, it hit him like that.
Was it like on an empty stomach? Because that'll hit you really quick if it's like an empty stomach.
I think it might have been.
I think it was before dinner.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. Other thing too, people sometimes will drink in a hot tub, and that gets it going much quicker too. That's sometimes people don't remember those little details there. But Slimer,
What's that?
You cut out.
Yeah, he's frozen. But go ahead and continue. He'll get back on.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a result of there being too much alcohol in the parks. I think that you're right. It's because everybody has a camera now, and because everybody has a camera now, there's just more incidences that are captured and documented, and so it seems like these incidents are happening more. Yeah, so I don't think that it's happening more frequently. I think that it's just a matter of people having cameras on them. It's kind of like Big Brother, Big Brother sees everything, but we're Big Brother, so there you go. We dox ourselves. But yeah, this form of self-policing, I do agree that if you're an aggressor because you drink too much and you don't know your limits, or you know your limits, you don't care, you decide to participate in public space anyways, you deserve to get punched in the face. Now, if Disney decides to ban you, fine, that's their policy. But my opinion is that there's just not enough people getting punched in the face. And usually with these kinds of people, it's because they have been punched in the face enough. And that's why they're acting like this.
I think you bring up a valid point. If you've never been punched in the face when you do dumb stuff, you kind of tend to act out a bit. I actually did a little research on this. So it hasn't gone. So the only thing from 2022, and this is both, I looked Disneyland and Disney World, you have a slight uptick since then. So in 2022, you had 200 related incidents, and it just is in the Anaheim area. It says pertaining to around the theme parks. And Disney World, you got at 220. So they're kind of even. 2023, you had about 210. You had 230 in 2023. 2024, it goes up another 10, like 220, 250 incidents at Disney World. So it might be slightly going up, but at the same time, not enough to really, it's not like you have this massive explosion of things. I think there's also the incentive of, if you get this stuff on video, obviously you can take it to social media and blow up. Like you get a bunch of views, and I think that obviously is part of it too. But yeah, I think a lot of things is really hard to know until you look at the data. But I've always felt it. Yeah, it's just, you see, if everybody has a phone, like you were saying, OG, so everybody can document it. And then now with Twitter X and social media, there's just so much more incentive to showcase it. Because before, you might get it on video and show your friends, like, look what I saw. But now with social media, you've got all this other stuff going on. But it's like, there has been a lot more. There was a big fight at Disney Springs like a month ago that were actually there were punches being thrown in a Disney store. And it's just one of those things, like, it kind of goes what you were saying, Slimer. It's like, I've been in situations where if I'm with my kids, it's different than I'm by myself. But at the same time, it's like, I just will walk away. Like, I think it's the old Jocko Willink talks about, or Jocko Willink will talk about it. It's like, what do you do? And he's like a Navy SEAL, like 10-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he's like, if someone goes to fight you, what do you do? And he's like, I run away. He's like, I don't know what they have. Like, I'm not trying to pick a fight. And I just think people get in these situations where they get a little loose and they decide that somebody has wronged them, and we're gonna have old fisticuffs in a theme park. And it's the thinking behind it. I'm so curious about as to like how it gets to that point.
You bring up a great point, Jared, where, running away and not, or walking away or whatever, just avoiding it altogether because you don't know what they have. And that's a great point, because not everyone's just going to come in with their fist. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to get stabbed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of goes the same thing with like a lot of road rage situations. Like I have tried to avoid it as much, especially out here in LA. I'm not trying to like hold my horn down on somebody because you don't know who you're doing that to. And I actually had a situation like that when I was like 18 years old with my ex-girlfriend. She decided she wanted to flip the guy off, and he followed us for 5 miles. So you got to be really, really careful with this stuff, because you don't know like how mentally stable the other person is. You know what I'm saying? So it's scary stuff.
I had a similar incident. I was going to my senior pictures when I was 18. And I don't remember what happened. I think the guy actually cut me off. I don't think I honked or anything. And he got mad, started swerving, showed a gun, and followed me for a good 8 miles. And I remember I called 911, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. This guy is like chasing me with a gun in the car. And then he finally like went off somewhere else. But like, it's scary to get in those situations, and you just like, you don't know what other people first off are capable of, what they're going through. And then it's like, when you got families involved too, it's just like, you can just walk away and just go have fun. Like, it's not a big deal. And especially like if you've known, like, I'm not saying I'm like, like I've dabbled in jujitsu and things. Like, when you understand that there is a capability of some humans and what they can do, you don't go looking for it.
No,
because there's just people out there that can fold you up like a lawn chair. And not to mention, like, they have weapons and things, and they're not likely to have that on Disney property, but you're just going to end up getting banned. And then if it's the first day of your vacation, your whole vacation's ruined, and it's just
and that's the whole other thing too, is getting trespassed. Is this person who pissed you off in the lobby of the Contemporary? Is it that big of a deal that it's worth getting banned for life? Like, right. I mean, so you could never go back to Disney with your family ever again because you want to have your, 30-second fight. It's stupid. It's really, really stupid.
Yeah. And I think with the alcohol part of it, it's like, if you're going to have alcohol on anywhere, you're going to have to deal with a certain level of rowdiness, I guess you could just say. It's just going to come with the territory. I think what's going to end up happening, and I know Universal has a patent for this, but I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of these AI systems that really track people all over property, because Universal has this system. They have a patent for it. I don't believe they've implemented it into their parks yet, but it basically monitors bad guest behavior. And I don't know the details. It uses AI along with it, but it essentially would alert team members if someone like jumps a line or cursing or smoking or whatever it is. But it also would monitor how many drinks somebody has had in a certain amount of time, and then would notify a bartender saying, okay, you can't serve this person because they've had 3 drinks in the past hour or whatever. I think you may start seeing stuff like that, because you're not going to see them remove alcohol from property.
No way. It's too much of a moneymaker.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, of how theme parks kind of, and it's very hard to tell unless someone's actually there to physically witness it, but of how that they can differentiate of 2 people just having an altercation physically, as to oppose where one is instigating and the other one is using self-defense. Yeah. Because there's two totally different lines there when you fight back just because somebody hits you, or if you have to, it's not a choice of fight or flight.
Right.
You get out of the situation, and sometimes you have to sometimes you have to get physical to get out of the situation.
Right.
And
Like
this
if someone
is
just cold cocks you and like, you know, you're defending yourself. That's where they would look at the footage, I'm sure, the camera footage. Go ahead, Summer.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think this is a problem that stems from the school system, where nowadays, if you get bullied and you respond in self-defense, you both go to detention or you both get suspended or whatever the policy is for getting in a physical altercation, even if it's in self-defense. So what it does is it actually disincentivizes self-defense and protection. So now you just got to take the ass beating in the hopes that you don't get expelled or suspended or go to detention for 2 weeks. And what kind of a policy is that? Like, nowhere in the world does that exist except for like the failing public school system and theme parks. And that's kind of ridiculous. You know, like that's kind of ridiculous. There's no way to really operate, because what you're essentially doing is you're a judge, jury, and executioner. You're deciding before you even look at eyewitness testimony, before you look at any sort of other evidence as to who started the altercation, and you're deciding, right? Usually these decisions are made within the first hour that these people are detained or arrested. I mean, these are all done by security officers or law enforcement officers that show up to the scene. They kind of get an idea of what's going on, but their first objective is to secure the area and escort these people off of premise. Because the first thing that Disney or SeaWorld or Universal is going to want is they're going to want these people off the premise immediately. They're going to want them banned, and then they're going to try to sort it out later. But, you know, going to y'all's point, I don't personally like that, because you're just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And, you know, I'm also the kind of person that's going to defend themselves, at least to some kind of a degree. And yeah, it's just a bad look when you're throwing somebody out that's defending themselves with the aggressor. I don't like that. And I think that it shows a lack of discernment.
I agree completely. I've actually thought, I always run through scenarios when I'm in places, and I've often thought, you know, if that were to happen, it's like, are you trying? You've got 1,000 things running through your head. You got somebody trying to come at you. Then you're like, if you're on vacation and your family's here, do you not defend yourself? Like, what do you do? Like, so many things could happen that, and there are situations that have happened where they just ban people, and someone's like, I literally just was like almost sucker punched. And I think that, yeah, you're right though. It's like that zero tolerance policy that doesn't have any sort of nuance to it. I don't think is the right approach, because there are people that instigate stuff in society. I mean, it's just, you know, you could be minding your own business, walking somewhere, and all of a sudden you're in the middle.
I could do my best to avoid something like that, but if someone is physically following me and they keep on swinging, what? So I'm just supposed to stand there and let them knock me out? Yeah, it's like, no, there's a time you have to do something.
Well, and even if you just stand there and let them knock you out, you would still get banned, which is ridiculous. You know, it's crazy. I mean, it's not a good policy. There's stories to this stuff, you know, and it does matter who starts it and who, you know, and who's defending themselves.
But I do want to bring up really quick, Storybook Sorceress's comment where but that is part of the problem too. People are so entitled that you can't even say, excuse me, I want to go through here without, you know, someone huffing and puffing. Well, I find it actually interesting that even a lot of people don't even say excuse me anymore. It's like not even in the vocabulary. People will just, especially like in the theme park setting, like if you're standing in line and they're trying to catch up with their family, like they'll just push right through you without even like saying excuse me. And it's like, as much as like, you now in that setting, you just kind of have to bite your tongue, because essentially that's kind of going a little bit too much, where it's like, okay, they're just being, part of my French, the asshole. So it's like, I'm not going to start something. Right. It's like that. But when it comes to a physical altercation, that's completely different.
Yeah, it's like if I'm in the parks with my kids, and my first thing, the big brawl that happened in Disneyland a few years ago, where there was like that went on for like 15 minutes in Fantasyland, where they just had this family brawl. And I think that's the thing too, if people notice, is you'll start seeing people look at this and they'll say Disney security doesn't step in and do anything. And that's the thing a lot of people don't know, is they won't many times. They wait until the police show up. So a lot of times these things go on. So even if you're in a situation where someone's aggressing you, it's not like you can sit there and say, hey, security is going to come over and break this up. You may be on your own for a while. So it's not even a situation where necessarily you can just go get somebody to break it up. And I think that, nuance of the situation, like if you got somebody beating an aggressor, then you run the risk of, it's day one of your vacation, something happens, and all of a sudden your whole vacation is ruined because you got banned from the property, whatever it is. Like that's, and they're not going to give you refunds in that situation.
And that's the change that these theme parks should do. Not necessarily, obviously, ban the alcohol, but I think they need to kind of change up the protocols that, maybe beef up security a little bit. Or if you do have the security, they're going to have to, because a lot of times too, where if someone sees someone in a security uniform, they will, they could back off.
Yeah.
So if they start seeing 5 or 6 security guards coming over, they'll back up.
Well, and here's the thing too: people are on vacation, and even to some degree at Disneyland Resort, and the banning the alcohol thing. I've heard fans say that let's just ban alcohol at Disney. It's for families, don't have it at all. But it's like, you know what? I'm an adult. I want to go if I'm having a vacation or even a staycation, a weekend at Disneyland Resort. I want to be able to have the option to have a drink at downtown Disney or something. I don't think that should be a problem. I think throwing the baby out but with the bathwater is ridiculous. It's like saying, too many cheeseburgers will give you a heart attack. So you know what? Let's just ban cheeseburgers. Nobody can have a cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ridiculous.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You remember the lawsuit, actually, speaking that you mentioned the cheeseburger, the lawsuit back in the early 2000s with the fast food companies of the 2 young girls that became obese, and they ended up suing the fast food company.
I remember that.
Nobody forced them to eat the food.
Also in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the prohibition argument is a fallacy. It's like, murder is bad. Why don't we just make it illegal and everybody just stop murdering each other?
Yeah.
I mean, every crime you could potentially commit is illegal and is banned and is prohibited, and yet people still do it. So yeah, banning alcohol is not going to do anything. Not only that, but you're gonna introduce the smuggling of alcohol into the parks. And so what? Everybody that wants to have a good time is going to start smuggling bottles of vodka into 3-liter bladders. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Let's do that. Let's encourage people to bring in a whole handle of Smirnoff rather than giving them the opportunity to purchase it at a high dollar,
Right.
limiting their capacity to drink within a budget. No, let's just incentivize them bringing as much alcohol as they want straight.
If people want to
before even going on property,
exactly, people pregame. People will pregame it. Absolutely, George, you're right on that.
I always get amazed at the people that get that drunk at theme parks, because that's got to be like $100 to get that I'm just like, that's an investment to get to that point. I'm just like, man, I'll have a drink every once. I'm not a big drinker at all, but I might have a beer every once in a while. But I just couldn't imagine getting to the point where you're so sloppy that you just can't control yourself. And I think Disney World has a different issue, just because you're right. Like a lot of different, people are coming in, you get that YOLO, I'm on vacation, drinks start going, you're not thinking about, spending money. And then you just get a certain amount of people that can't handle it, and bad things will happen. And I understand, like Space Dave says, alcohol doesn't help at all. Let's be honest. It doesn't, but realistically, they're not going to ban alcohol. Like that. It's the same thing with sporting. How many different fights happen at sporting events, and they're never going to ban alcohol, even though probably most of the fights that happen in a football game have some sort of alcohol instant part of it. But it's just such a moneymaker. It just is one of those things. It's like society in general, and like you were saying, there's an entitlement where, and you do see it a lot at Disney, where I think people have this idea of like, I spent X amount of dollars to go here, therefore I'm entitled to a certain level of experience. And then it just becomes sort of like, it's only through their lens sort of thing. And I think there may be, from a society standpoint, a lot of that, just a lot of, I guess you just call it, I don't know if it's selfishness or just like very self-centered in terms of worldviews when they're like interacting with other people.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. And it's, unfortunately, I even see a lot of it. And look, I'm going to be honest, like I'm part of the Disney adult community. I have a YouTube channel. I talk about this stuff every single day. You know what I'm saying? But in that community, there is a lot of entitlement because we're super fans, right? This is my park, that kind of mentality with some, and it leads to problems, and we have to remember it's not our park, it's everyone's park. And the person who's coming from Japan for the first time, they have just as much of a right to have a good time at the park as me, who's been here 30,000 times. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be cognizant of that and allow everyone to have a good experience. You know what I'm saying? But
thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.